So we hope to keep up the spirit of the symposium for this day and the days to come as well. Today's sub-theme is Women in Academic Cosmos. Today we are privileged to have among us three distinguished resource persons: Dr. Saida S.M. Al-Qadri, Principal, Government Girls General Degree College, Kolkata; Dr. Madhumita Sen, Associate Professor of Sociology, Government General Degree College, and also our Honorable GB member; and Madam Chaitali Moitro, Faculty of English, PG Department, St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College, a renowned teacher. All these distinguished guest speakers have made their mark in the academic cosmos, so we are here today to listen to their erudition. Before we start today's session, I would like to request our Honorable Principal Madam, Dr. Shoma Ghosh, to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Pritha. This is the third day of this symposium on gender sensitization and awareness. In last 2 days, we have discussed regarding the role of women in various fields. We have focused on the roles of some women whom we consider as our role models. We have discussed that lots of women found their place in the society and polity. Women, they have gained their political, civic, and economic rights, but still we are lagging far behind in attaining gender parity. Our speakers expressed their concern regarding gender disparity, inequality, malnutrition, and many other things which women still suffer from. Today, we are going to have an extensive discussion on the role of women in academia. As we perhaps all know, that women have made significant gains as professors or teachers in higher education sector over the last 15 to 20 years. The gains recorded in university or other higher education sectors as teaching staff actually is found to be remaining confined within women with middle class professional backgrounds. The entry of women as academicians or as students in the higher education still is a matter of concern, though it is improving. There is simultaneously we can see that there is a documented trend of women prematurely leaving higher education and academia. There are high dropout rates. Even pipeline blockages are still there. And we know that women are still being confined within the boundaries of their homes and lack access, equal access to right to education. Under the circumstance, socialization process is itself raises question. We are still struggling with data, information, and all that. But the real scenario is going to be explored by our honorable and esteemed speakers, Dr. Al-Qadri and Dr. Madhumita Sen, as well as our esteemed guest, faculty of St. Paul's Cathedral College, Choitali Madam. With enormous thanks and gratitude to all the speakers for giving us some of their very precious moments to share their thoughts with us. And with thanks and gratitude to all the organizers, our technical coordinators, and technical team, I welcome you all on behalf of the entire family of Hiralal Mazumdar Memorial College for Women in this third day of symposium. Thank you. Over to Preetha for further proceedings.
Thank you, madam, for your nice welcome address and encouraging words. Now, without further delay, may I request our Honorable Resource Person, Dr. Saida S.M. Al-Qadri, Principal, Government Girls General Degree College, to share her experience and knowledge with us. Madam, over to you, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My topic is Muslim women and education. Education has been considered as a key instrument of change and development in temporary time. In any society, the system of education plays an important role in training, development, and allocation of its manpower resources. It is one of the pivotal factors in determining the economic, social, and political advancement of a society. India has the second largest educational system in the world after China, but it is widely believed that the level of education among the Indians, especially in women, is not much higher as compared to the other countries. Getting education is the fundamental human right of every individual, irrespective of gender. But we often see sex-based discrimination is prevalent in our society. Many parents do not give attention on the education of girl child, whereas we must be aware of the fact that educating a woman means educating the family and the nation. When a woman is not educated, then it not only affects her, but the entire family as well as the nation. Since independence, education for all is one of the major tasks being carried out by the government, but still we have the lowest female literacy rate in Asia. If we see the data of female literacy in India, in the year 1950, female literacy rate was 9.00. In 1961, 15.30. 1981, 28.50. In 2001, 50%, and in 2011, 65.46%. So improvement of literacy rate is continuous, but it is matter of concern that literacy rate of Muslim minority, especially female, is very low, whereas Islam has given so much emphasis upon education. In Islam, education or knowledge is one of the important pillars upon which the edifice of Islam has been raised. The first revelation upon the Holy Prophet, peace be on him, considered the commandment to read. Iqra. Iqra means knowledge, educate yourself, be educated. The Holy Quran says, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Khalaq al-insana min alaq. Means read in the name of your Lord, who has created man out of a cell of cognated blood. And read, the Lord it is most bountiful. Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon all Muslims regardless of their gender. Islam encourages women to be educated in all beneficial matters in which they are capable. The Holy Quran emphasized repeatedly, both directly and indirectly, the importance of excellence of knowledge or education in more than 100 places. Some verses of Holy Quran are as follows. Allah will raise up to rank and degrees those of you who believe and who have gained knowledge. Al-Quran, chapter 58, verse 11. Again, say, can those who have knowledge and those who do not be alike? So only the wise do receive the admonition. Chapter 39, verse 9. The hadith of Prophet, peace be on him, also emphasize upon seeking of education and knowledge. As Prophet, peace be on him, ordered, seeking knowledge is mandatory for every believer, both men and women, without any discrimination. Sunan Ibn Majah, chapter 81, verse 2 to 4. Acquire knowledge even if you may have to go to China for it. Al-Bazzar, chapter 1, hadith number 175. Again, Prophet, peace be on him, says that the best parents are those who provide the best of education, which includes the best of manner. Sahih Bukhari, Babul Ilm. Therefore, it is evident from the Quran and Hadith, in Islam, seeking education is obligatory for women in the same way as the case of men. It is a sacred duty and considered to be the path towards greater closeness to Allah. The study of the life of Holy Prophet, peace be on him, also shows that He himself made special arrangement for the education and training of women. But it is very sad to say that still, after 1400 years, Muslim women are most backward in education. According to 2001 census, there are over 62.5 million Muslim women in India. Over more than 6 decades after independence, less than 50% of Muslim women in India are literate. In comparison with other women from other minorities, 76% literacy among Christians, 64% among Sikh, 62% among Buddhists, and 90% among Jain women. By this report, zeal was created for upliftment of educational condition of Muslim minorities among both government and private level. And to improve the educational status, various initiatives have been taken. But it is very shocking that a report of Justice Rajinder Sachar, the report of Abu Saleh Sharif, and as well as the report of 2011 census shows Muslim women literacy rate was slightly increased. Literacy rate among religious communities, according to 2011 census, was as follows. Christian 71.97%, Buddhist 65.06%, Sikh 63.29%, Jain 84.93%, and Muslims 51.9%. It also shows the low levels of educational attainment among Muslim women in all courses, particularly at the PG level and marginal in the science stream. The work participation rate of Muslim women was also increasing even smaller from 14.1% in 2001 to 14.8% in 2011. Numerous actions were taken by the central and state government for the development of educational condition of minorities. They implemented several significant initiatives. These are ongoing. Many scholarships are given to the marginalized and needy students, especially for girls, to continue their study. Many schools, colleges, educational institutions, coaching centers were opened by the state government in both urban and rural areas. Now it is the time to avail all the facilities given by the government for empowering and improving the status through education. The challenges of modern time can only be fulfilled when the Muslim woman understands priorities of education. An educated woman will be aware of her rights. She can fight against social evil such as democratic violence, dowry, and equal status, etc. She can be a better human being, a successful mother, and a responsible citizen. She can increase the living standard and lead healthy and happy life. We just hope from the educated mother that the future generations will become well educated and live a better and a respectable life with playing an effective role in present world. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your very informative and thought-provoking deliberation, rich in statistical data and very comprehensive analysis. We are obviously enriched. We will come back to you if our audience post any kind of question. But now, without further delay, I would like to request our next honorable speaker, Dr. Madhumita Sen, Associate Professor of Sociology, Government General Degree College, and a very, very close person to us as one of our GV members who has always been constant support in all our academic and cultural endeavors. So, madam, welcome back. There is no need to introduce you further, I feel. Please share your erudition and knowledge with us once again. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Kundu. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, it's fine.
Okay. Just a second. Yeah. Now, is the slides are visible?
Yes, madam,
Slides
it's all
are
good.
visible, but go to slide mode, presentation mode.
That's again a difficult proposition for me. But
Akshay and Pooja, please help madam.
Yeah, can I just put slideshow?
Yeah, slideshow.
Okay. I what to do to make it a whole page? No, just I don't have much time. Okay.
Akshay,
I guess, is it very, can you see it, or is it absolutely necessary to go for the whole page?
no, please continue.
Because I have given the slideshow, but
Anyway, continue. It's
okay.
absolutely
Thank
visible.
you so much. Thank you so much. Excuse my, shortcomings regarding this. And I start. Okay, I will explain everything. The slides are not much necessary, but still I think that if something is visible, it will be more convenient. That's why I prepared a few slides. So first, I express my gratitude to the organizers for arranging this week-long symposium on an extremely relevant issue, and which has been inaugurated on a crucially significant date. I am feeling extremely honored to be here on this platform for sharing some of my ideas and perceptions on the need of women's presence as leader in academia. Here, I would also like to mention that I am one of those privileged ones who could be a part of the CBWM movement, that is the capacity building of women managers movement, which was initiated by UGC under the leadership of Professor Armaiti Desai and under the active support and guidance of Professor Karuna Chanana, Professor Shushila Kaushik, and many other erudite women academicians. Professor Chanana, in her extremely articulate and informative speech, mentioned about the success of that program. As Dr. Ghosh, the principal of this college, was an active participant of that program, I would like to request her, and who is an extremely enthusiastic and encouraging personality and principal of the college, of course. Can I request her to initiate the CBWM program once again and organize workshops for our young colleagues? Professor Ghosh, that is a personal request on behalf of everybody.
It's a
Uh,
wonderful proposition, and we can have these workshops in a collaborative mode too.
yes,
And
of course.
as we know that UGC and ICSSR are ready to offer us grants for this, and it will perhaps help our young scholars to
Mhm.
get their API and all that.
Yes,
So we can proceed for such workshops. I'd rather request my webinar organizing committee, especially its convener, Sri Pradipta Mukherjee, to take it as a venture so that we can proceed further. Thank you, Dr. Sen,
thank you
for
so
such.
much. Thank you so much for your encouraging words. Uh, Now, the first slide, it is not necessary, I guess, because in last 2 days, I'm sure the theme of the IWD 2021 has been highlighted many times in the deliberations of the distinguished resource persons. My responsibility here today is to relate the choice to, to the women in academic world, how we can do this challenge, we can initiate this challenge in the academia, with the women of academia. In other words, we can say that we need to be bold enough, because challenging something is not easy, especially challenging the status quo. So what is needed is to be bold enough to dream the dreams that have never been dreamt before. Women were taught to limit their dreams. There are numerous don'ts in each and every step of their movements. But as against the popular chauvinist outlook, we see conqueror's ambition in women in every walk of life. Her, her story of success is a story of slow and steady strategic persuasion. I emphatically pronounce the word strategic. Women manage career and home with the same touch of mastery that makes her unique. Again, I want to underline the word unique. Now, challenge creates alertness. Alertness among the people around us, the system around us, it becomes alert and to some extent scared as well, because the system is not used to this kind of challenge. So we also know that there is comfort and they want which deprives from share of their rights and privileges. So let's all choose to challenge. Now, key to challenge the world, I have tried to give few points, but there are many others. We can, not I, we can add on the points, but I have to be precise. So I have wrote these few points. Celebrate women's achievement. Why I have to write this? Because we have seen that in many cases, hardly women's achievements come in the forefront. They are not considered as achievements at all. So we need to celebrate women's achievement. We have to raise awareness against bias. Take action for equality. We need to take action for equality. and we need to take necessary steps for increasing visibility. This is very important because the system wants to make us invisible. That's the irony of the system, but this is true, very true. Interestingly, India has registered significant progress in female enrollment in education. In 1950-51, India's female enrollment ratio was around 14 to 18 females per 100 males. By 2013-14, it has improved to 74 to 80 females per 100 males. As part of the 75th round of National Sample Survey, from July 2017 to June 2018, a comprehensive analysis of female literacy rates has been conducted. As per the report, India's countrywide female literacy rate is 70.3%, while male literacy rate is estimated as 84.7%. In spite of decades of policy and vision, there is still severe obstructions to increase the women's education in the form of stiff gender discrimination. Enrollment pattern has not changed much. Women still crowd around soft or feminine discipline. Professor Karuna explained this in a number of slides. I have gone through them. There are certain disciplines which are called soft. So science and technology is not for women. Of course, there are women, but if we consider the ratio is very low for women. So why this difference? Because we don't have representatives at the decision-making levels. So the world needs women at every table where decisions are being taken. To get us there, women of the world want and deserve an equal future free from stigma, an equal future free from stereotypes, an equal future free from violence, a future that's sustainable and peaceful, a future with equal rights and opportunities. Also, when women are not consulted or included in the decision making on issues that have a direct impact on their lives, such as education, health, economic development, and conflict resolution, policy outcomes are likely to be and bound to be harmful and ineffective and to lead to the violation of women's rights. Report of the Secretary General, United Nations Economic and Social Council emphatically mentions that there has been progress in the increase in the number of women elected or appointed to decision-making positions. But full gender parity is far from being reached. And this has been admitted in a public report. So true it is, and so unfortunate at the same time. The report mentions gaps remain because of the persisting cultural and structural constraints and barriers that reinforce discriminatory norms, practices, and policies. Also, the socio-cultural and political will to change power relations with regard to gender equality is lacking. The word gender, I find the word gender inevitably refers to discrimination. And this has been also highlighted by Professor Chanana, as I heard her lecture on this platform. The report also mentions of gender stereotyping. Women's and men's education, political experience, and ages upon entering executive office are similar. But gendered perceptions and gendered perceptions that executive offices should be filled by men and not on the basis of credentials account for women's severe underrepresentation at this level. So all these reasons result in barrier to career. So it is, we don't have enough women. That is one of the very important problem, because there are so many barriers. I could mention only a few of them. India, among the lowest having women in senior managerial levels. In spite of an increased access and participation of women in all sectors of education, at the higher education level, even in 21st century, India is one among the Commonwealth countries with the lowest percentage of women at the senior managerial level. In Indian context, only 6.67% Indian institutes are headed by women. Reports a survey conducted by Hindustan Times in 2015 December. Significant shortage of women academic leaders in higher education system of the country became prominent in this report. The report assessed percentage of females in positions of influence, such as vice chancellors or directors, in 810 institutes of higher education in India, and found that only 54 out of 810 are headed by females. Now, what are the possible why this kind of a thing? This raises a few very important questions. Why are so few women in senior positions in higher education? Secondly, why do we want more women as leaders? Third, how to bring more women to senior positions in higher education? Now, to answer the first question, um, first is the unwillingness on the part of the management to appoint women to these positions. This is a structural barrier. Bias in recruitment, there are many causes, there are many kind of barriers in the structural side of the fact. Bias in recruitment and promotion system, limited opportunity for exercising leadership, women exclusive criteria. There are so many posts where women cannot apply. Omissions of critical materials on and by women in classrooms, lack of literature on leadership skills for women, lack of research on women's leadership, pipeline theory, not finding enough qualified candidate. So these and many others are there as structural barrier in the system. Secondly, there is a feeling of insecurity in women themselves to handle these positions. This is a result of the socialization process, which leads to low career aspiration, lack of ambition, low self-esteem, weak or no self-confidence, feeling interfered by male counterpart, etc. And the third one is the cultural norms continue to dictate that the role of women at workplace is seen as secondary to her role at home as a nurturer and homemaker. So she is seen primarily as a homemaker. So out of the home, her existence is unimportant. That is the typical chauvinist perspective. The patriarchal attitude in the institution of family are carried over to other institutions of society, including education and employment. So those are the very important factors which constrain women from attaining what they can achieve, what they can attain. The second question, why we need more women as leaders in education? Because of equal representation, because we need to utilize their unique perceptions and strengths. We need to have a say in the policy making. We need to participate in decision making. women are equally gifted and talented. We have women as role models. I can remember Rupa's first day inaugural introductory speech where she mentioned about the role models, women as role models, and to bring focus on gender issues. The reasons are results of domination of patriarchal social structure, all the reasons which I mentioned earlier. These are the results of patriarchal social structure, and we have to challenge that social structure. We have to build our own world on that patriarchal social structure. We have to denounce, we have to challenge. In spite of the fact that there are so many resistance. And then how to bring, the third question, how to bring more women to senior positions in higher education. Number one is we need to formulate women-friendly policies. Secondly, change policies that are restrictive to women. Third, publish gender segregated data. Fourth, keep a directory. We need to keep a directory of qualified women. There are more points how to bring more women to senior positions of higher education. We need to have women on selection and promotion committees. Sensitization is necessary for the selection committee for non-sexist interviewing. Relaxation of age limit and length of experience. This is also very important. Requirement, there are some requirements. These are the things which we want to do. For that, we need to develop skills. We will earn our right by virtue of our ability and quality. We need to equip ourselves to challenge the discriminatory system. So, what are those qualities? One is leadership skills, including visioning capacity, management skills. Secondly, institutional experience, international exposure of higher education. Third, negotiating skills to deal with all stakeholders, internal as well as external. Next is the communication skill. The leader must have a very good communication skill. Then charismatic personality. And most importantly, strong record in academic achievements, excellence in research and teaching. So research has become a very important issue in building a career or climbing up the leadership position. Research is increasingly become important for recruitment and promotion. Research credentials have become very important in individuals' academic career as well. Today's ambitious women understand that place of research in academic achievements, and that's why I find my young colleagues who are, much busy as compared to our days to put different research proposals to UGC or to different CSR projects or to different organizations who are helping us with funds. As the research helps develop essential leadership qualities that are key to academic leadership. It helps developing skills needed to take responsibilities. And we need to take responsibilities. We need not fear. We need to be smart enough to come forward and take responsibilities and also share responsibilities. We need to develop effective network for information and influence. We need to enhance personal and team creativity. Building a team is very important. But for that, we need to develop the skill, how to build a team. We need to be prepared to challenge the accepted wisdom. We need to enjoy what we do. We need to accept the fact that learning is an ongoing process. We need to have a desire to excel, appreciate without being critical, and we need to convert problems into opportunities. Social perceptions of, social perception and self-attitudes are major impediment towards women in research. You look, there is a myth. This myth, all of us we know. There is a myth, women are better teachers because they care more for students. Therefore, they devote more time to teaching, and therefore they do less research, and therefore their commitment to is not as wholehearted to research as their male colleagues do. Therefore, they are less productive than their male colleagues. But the reality is that hardly any difference exists in the orientation of women and men teachers in higher education. So, it is evident that women have the right as well as an obligation to assume managerial position in higher education institutions. Women possess a diversity of talents, life experiences, knowledge, and personal styles, which are distinct but complementary to management style of men. What is needed is facilitation to blossom and contribute. It is necessary. It is extremely necessary. The institutional and government support through clear and effective policies need to be actually enforced. And the women leaders need to have these two attributes. What are they? She needs to be able to speak for herself as a person, for herself as a woman, and for her constituency of women. She needs to be able to address and identify causes that impact women directly and differentially. Over to Dr. Kundu.
Thank you, madam. We are obviously very much enlightened by your wonderful presentation. And the questions you have raised today are very significant and pertinent to understand, to analyze, to critique, and to develop the role women are playing, and they are to play actually in the academic cosmos. So thank you again. I will come back to you if there is any question. Now, with your permission, I would like to move on to our next honorable speaker. On a very personal note, I would like to be forgiven, I would like to be excused to say that she is one of my teachers, Madam Chaitanya Moitro, Faculty of English, PG Department of English, St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College. I know her since my student life in Presidency College. She also used to teach there and also in Bethel College. She has a very long and very successful teaching career. She is not only an eminent academician, but also a wonderful writer, critic. She constantly reviews books and cultural events in such reputed journals as Desh and Boyer Desh. But these are not her actual role for me. I am personally very thankful to her. May I disclose to everybody that she has come here today despite her tremendous illness. She has been very ill for the past 2 weeks, but still, on our request, she has so gladly agreed to join this seminar and deliver her experience. So thank you, madam. I can never be able to thank you enough. With this very little introduction, I would like to request you to unmute your microphone and Please share your ideas with us. Madam, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kundu. It's a pleasure to be here amongst you all. A big thank you to the organizers of this program, and my respectful regards to the speakers whom I have heard just now and the others who are going to speak. Now, when Dr. Kundu told me about this topic, the first thing I thought is finally what is cosmos? And then finding out more about cosmos, I learned that this is a Greek word meaning order and the world. So then I thought this must be quite synonymous with words like universe, creation, existence, and all these words have a sense of womanhood entwined with this. So I would like to salute the women who have been, are, and will be, and who take courage in doing things to finally remind us that the immense energy which makes the world go round is given by them. That's why we are here discussing this particular topic. So narrowing down our thoughts and centering them around women in academic cosmos, we should take into account things like how a woman helps to ignite souls with her energy, how she accepts a wrong to infuse positivity in people around her, and how she creates a legacy which makes others follow her in life. Now, keeping in mind the Towards Equality report of 1974-75 in the Indian context, which enhanced the development of the woman condition in India, my thoughts tried to I picked up two specific contemporary women authors who have been playing multiple roles, not just as writers, and they have been trying to reinforce strength and demonstrate how justice can be given to oneself that suffers by the other self that creates. I sound very T.S. Eliot-ish, but that's exactly what I mean, that one me has to cry and another me must be able to find means not to cry. So my first example is an author from Haiti who is still working, who is amongst us, much younger than I am, and her name is Edda Cat. She was born in Haiti in 1969, and her parents immigrated to New York, leaving her behind in Haiti to be raised up by her aunt for obvious reasons. And when she grew up in Haiti with her brother, aunt, uncle, she did not have her parents with her. She goes to New York much later in her teens, but her growing up in Haiti was with church, storytelling, school material, and things which we all associate with our salad days. That is how she grew up. Gradually, she comes to New York and she experiences a different slice of culture, and she becomes a writer, followed by a very good academic career. She also becomes a sort of member of the prestigious Phi Beta Kappa Society, and she starts writing novels. Okay. Now, this is not really a place to discuss novels. I'm going to limit the discussion of novels of both the authors I'm trying to contextualize, because apart from the literary side of the works that they have been writing, their target is much higher. They are trying to establish the power of motherlines, very similar to Toni Morrison, in their work. So the novel of Edda Cat, which 2 or 3 novels, the particular one that I want to talk on is called Breath, Eyes and Memory. This was based on her thesis, and this was also accepted by the Opera Book Club. So what is this about? I will just talk 1 minute on this novel. In this novel, there is a central character called Sophie Kako, and this character, Sophie, she survives a violent rape, and she meets her mother, who is in New York. It's a very, very autobiographical novel. And as the mother and daughter grow up, they know each other, they come to terms with each other, they do not come to terms with each other. So growing up becomes a very painful process, and eventually Sophie learns that her mother was also raped at one particular time in her life. So this violence that we associate with the rape or the woman's body becomes a source of strength to Sophie, and she becomes resilient enough to be able to stand up against the violence of women. And in the course of the novel, Edda Cat makes it a point to make her readers conscious of the negative impact of testing in Haitian culture. Most of us know how painful testing can be. Testing is, of course, as you know, one way of understanding if a young girl is a virgin. And it is this culture that actually makes the character suffer more. And this is how the novel goes. I'm not going to take up more time on just one novel. Apart from this novel or all others, all the other books of Edda Cat is important because she's able to inculcate the politics of Haiti, the politics of Francois Duvalier, also known as Papa Doc, who was the president of Haiti throughout 1957 to many years, to 1971. And this regime of Papa Doc, which was absolutely despotic, is mentioned and criticized in most of Edda Cat's works. Some of us might have heard of the Tonton Macoutes. The Tonton Macoute would be a group of people allegedly induced to torture women, rape women, and apply physical force in the despotic regime of Papa Doc. So here, this politics, that the nasty politics that had gone on the Haitian people, is taken into account by Edda Cat. She does the same thing in her bunch of stories called Crick Crack, very interesting name. And here also, she shows how it is important to develop family relationships, because it is actually quite meaningless to sort of remain, to be able to remain in the academic cosmos without nurturing family relationships. And from this diversity of suffering that Edda Cat is showing us in her work, she is able to sort of isolate certain themes, which are world themes today. For instance, she talks about diaspora politics. She talks about ethno-nationalism. Look what is going on in Myanmar. Ethno-nationalism is a world condition to which I think none of us can be indifferent. And she tries to uphold national politics. So similarly, in the same vein, she keeps on writing. I don't want to mention more books, but she also writes another book called Brother, I'm Dying. This is also an autobiographical novel. So as these years have rolled on, the Edda Cat has got many accolades, many prizes. One can look up the wiki for her achievements. And she has been invited in the TED Talk. She is a TED speaker where she speaks of Haiti, the rich culture of Haiti, and she mentions certain famous personalities like Frederick Douglass, like Zora Neale Hurston, many others. And she tries to establish the importance of selfhood, the importance of a woman, and the importance of how she is able to understand relationships as she keeps living her life. Okay. Now, my next example is again a very contemporary name called Elif Shafak. Elif Shafak was she is a woman rights activist born in 1971, younger than Edda Cat. She was born in France, but she was raised in Ankara, and her work is infused with the culture that is absolutely instinctive to Istanbul. And she also has many accolades, but once again, growing up without parents, which becomes a commonality for the two authors that I'm trying to understand, definitely has given them an edge which gives them wisdom, a very, very sort of conscious womanhood, which teaches them how cruel the world can be. So Elif Shafak lives in London now, and she is again a famous public speaker. She gives extra importance to freedom of speech in her works, and she has been able to participate in the TED Talk and in many other important panel discussions and meetings. So the works, she has written many, many novels. I'm just going to talk of two. The first one is called Bastard of Istanbul. And here, again, she deals with political atrocities. She deals with the Armenian genocide. And when really when many Armenians were killed during the First World War by the Ottoman government, this was the first Turkish novel, by the way, to deal with such atrocities. And the plot line, just in a sentence, is about two families who blend in some other part of the world. And the central character, called Amanoush, travels to Istanbul in order to search her Armenian roots. So this novel, what is more important apart from the plot is that although this novel got a sort of nomination for the Orange Prize, Shafak was sued and she faced a sentence of 3 years in prison. She was acquitted of criminal charges by a lot of planned courtroom proceedings, which give her a lot of importance, and it established her as a major voice in the world of women. Apart from this famous novel, there is a short novel which I must mention, which was written by Shafak after she gave birth to a child and suffered a postnatal depression. Most of us know that how a woman is usually misunderstood when she is passing through this very tough phase. And here, Shafak calls her novel Siyasut, which translates in English as black milk. So black milk describes the challenges of being a woman. In spite of having the joys of womanhood, a woman constantly has to face challenges which she has to meet up. And in some of her other novels, she tries to talk about the construct of masculinity, which again is very much a part of the women acting in a chain. So the best way to live life is to act or challenge the construct of masculinity. I come to her last, the most important novel, which has got a nomination for a Booker Prize. This novel is called 10 Minutes, 38 Seconds in This Strange World. 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. And this is a novel which deals with a prostitute called Tequila. This prostitute, Tequila, has been murdered, and her dead body is rotting in a dustbin of a city. But the dead body becomes aware. You see, magic realism is used to reinforce the importance of life as compared and contrasted with death. Although Tequila is dead, she remembers the nice moments of her life. She remembers her father. She remembers her mother. So her entity as a social being, not as a prostitute, is constantly being reinforced by her awareness. Awareness of how long? 10 minutes. So the whole metaphor, the trope of 10 minutes, 38 seconds is just to reinforce the imagination, the power of imagination. And we see how fearless and brave she is. And soon after this, let me turn to the more real life incident. If possible, it would be wonderful to listen to the TED Talk by Elif Shafak. It's online. In this particular talk, she has done this more than once, but the one that I'm trying to talk about, she is trying to refer to the importance of imagination. She's trying to refer to the importance of emotion and the acceptance of multiplicity. The best way to meet challenges for a woman is to be able to accept types and types of situations and sufferings. And finally, it is these types and types that is going to nurture her imagination and take her to another world, which Elif Shafak calls Storyland. What is Storyland? Storyland is nothing else but a world with a strong imagination and a push which is able to create an alternative to the world which is full of bleeding and suffering. Thank you so much, everyone, for the lend of your ears. Thank you. Back to Dr. Kundu, please.
Thank you, madam. As I have already said, there is no thanks enough for you, and of course for our
many thanks for your kind
speakers.
words.
I hope there are several questions in the mind of the audience. So I would request my senior colleague, Nilanjanadi, from our department. She is also a teacher in the Department of Women's Studies. Please to conduct the interactive session and see if there is any question in the chat box. Nilanjanadi, please.
Thank you, Pritha. Today's session has been immensely enlightening. I would request the listeners to send their questions to our respected speakers. Our session is open for questions. So all the questions for the 3 sessions that we have had, if you have any questions, you can send them now.
Nilanjanadi,
We're waiting for.
on behalf of all Department of Women's Studies, I would like to post a question.
Yes,
Any of
Pritha.
our renowned speakers may be pleased to answer.
Yes,
So,
Pritha, please carry on.
what is the final solution, if any, to find and critique and understand and develop the role of women in the academic cosmos? Because the situation of a lady teacher in our country, the situation of a lady in an academic profession in a so-called first world country, the situation of a teacher in a very remote area school. So all these are so very different. So how can we actually come to any kind of commonsensical or consensical understanding about this?
I think any of the speakers, respected speakers,
Yes.
can take the question. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes,
It's
ma'am,
a
we can
very,
hear you.
very important insight that you have spoken of, Dr. Kundu, and it is not possible to say a single word or say just one, suggest anything specific for lady teachers. Maybe it would not be wrong to say that they have to keep on interacting with the class, with the students on topics which is going to strengthen their imagination. But the difficulties that the ladies face, teaching the lady teachers face in remote areas in our country, does not have a single solution like the lady teachers who are city based. So it's more important for them to be able to spend time and talk to their students on different varied topics to enhance their mind, knowledge, and imagination. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable answer. Now, if I'm allowed, I have a question. Uh,
Yes.
Please.
Am I? May I?
Yes, yes,
Pritha,
yes.
with your
Of course.
yes. So my question is towards Madhumita madam. I have carefully listened to your lecture. When I was listening, I found it very interesting that you said that uh, the role of men and the role of women should not
Can't hear
be.
you. A little louder, please.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, now
Yes.
I can hear you, please.
Yes, ma'am. You were talking about equal opportunities and equal
Again, I can't
rights.
hear you.
Equal. Am I audible now?
Yeah, now
Yes,
you
I
are.
think
Yes.
the positioning of our mobiles need to be very, very specific.
No, I'm just holding the mic in front of my mouth.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
Now
Thank
you
you.
are.
I'm sorry. I'm doing the same thing. Yes, please.
I really don't know. Something strange happens sometimes. The strange question that came to my mind as I was intently listening to your speech, um, you were talking about equal roles, equal rights, and I was very stimulated by all that you said. And what appeared to my mind is, uh, can women really be equal or same with with men? Because I think women have different responsibilities to cater to, which are far more complex, which have their own weightage in a society, and those need to be assessed, understood, accommodated, and addressed. And I think equal up if we make um, if we keep on giving reservations or representations and rights, if we keep on allowing them to women on the basis of a parameter that is dominated by the male representations, I think the society uh, would be going towards a very different and odd kind of way, because the women form a context that need to be understood by its own rights. And am I audible, madam?
Yes, yes, you are
So
audible.
is equal not merely an elision, just a way of looking away from the real problem that plagues us, the women of this society, the extremely complex role where they have to attend to their own roles that is assigned to them biologically as well as socially, and also the imposed structure, which is a male dominated structure, where also we have to prove in terms of a different kind of parameter their women's eligibility to succeed in those areas. So it's kind of quadruply challenging the situation of women. Instead of giving them what exactly a proper representation would mean, we are further encumbering the situation by comparing a male and therefore not so relevant view, because there are so many roles that a woman has to single-handedly take care of in order to make the society run. Those roles are not really required from a man as such. I don't know. It is a very complicated question. I don't know if I've been able to make myself clear, but as I was so stimulated by your discussion, this question came to my mind, and I take this opportunity to present this question before you, ma'am.
Nilanjana, is the question for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I find the answer in your question only. You are saying that women are multitaskers. Very efficient multitasking ability is there in women. I told in one of the places that women manage home and profession with equal mastery. So what you are talking about, yes, women have a home, women have lot many responsibilities which men do not have. Right. I have no disagreement up to this point. But the chauvinist society takes advantage of this only. They are trying to put women in the second position. They are saying that you manage your home first and then come to the profession. Our our objective is equal when we are talking about equal opportunity. I'm not saying that the social responsibilities and the social, the women as women, unique character they have, that cannot equal a man, or men cannot equal the women so far as those characteristics are concerned. But when we are contesting for the post of professor or associate professor, there the women and the men should be equal. There should not be, if I'm a candidate, I normally what happens, women need to have two burdens. One, she is a woman, and second, she is a candidate. There we object. I can give a excellent example from Professor Chanana's speech, not here, somewhere else. She was in JNU, and she was in some, you know, um, some of the selection committees of JNU. It was a selection committee of a recruitment of a typist or something like that. I cannot remember exactly. There were one women candidate and 6 male candidates. So one after another coming in. For the male candidates, the question pattern was, what is your typing speed? Where do you stay? How far from the institution? What the transport you will, avail for coming to the institution? Like this. But for the women, she was explaining the situation in one of her lecture in one of the SAM workshops. For the woman, the question is, are you married? Do you have children? What responsibilities you need to? When do you cook? So they are not asking the man, do you go to the market? Who brings the vegetable? Do you read newspaper? No, these questions were not there. But for the woman, this question, those are the sexist questions. So when we talk about equality, we are talking about equal opportunity in our profession, in the world, in the decision-making chairs. Not equality of man and woman so far as their, biological responsibilities or social responsibilities are concerned. So we need to understand that men can never be women or women can never be men. There is a difference between the two. But when we construct the gender, the gender to me is essentially discriminatory. So that discrimination is not uh, permissible to me. We are all, not I, we are all proud of the unique quality of women because the way they can do different responsibilities and with excellent efficiency. I have nothing to say about that. But when we are coming to the question of opportunity, because women are also educated, and I have mentioned at one place that sometimes we don't have enough women candidates because if you go to the statistics and study the dropout rates, you will find that at the higher level of education, number of women gradually decreases. Why? That is the socialization process. And that's why Professor Chanana also mentioned that soft disciplines. And the choice of discipline is not on the student, it is on the society. Society decides that these are suitable for women and afterwards for marriage and this and that. So our challenge is there. Let the woman choose what she wants to do. Let not the society dictate the woman about her choice. So we want to challenge those stereotypical, dictations. I don't know whether I could answer your question.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely clear. Basically, when you talked about equality, the extremely discriminatory questions that were asked in interview boards, it's a practical reality everywhere, basically. So
Everywhere.
yes, thank you, ma'am, for your answer. So now we can move on to further questions. If anybody from the audience has any question, he or she can write it or send it, like present orally also.
Uh, I think we are already running short of time. I'm very sorry to interrupt like this, but we have to end somewhere. I feel there are no further questions either in the chat box or someone is not speaking up. So, with uh, enormous thanks and gratitude to all our distinguished speakers, with thanks to Niranjanabi and all our colleagues and audiences. I would like to again request our Honorable Principal Madam just to sum up today's discussions in a few words before ending this session with a formal vote of thanks. Madam, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kundu. Actually, in the tune of Nilanjana's dilemma, I'd like to share a very recent experience that I faced few days back. I had to go to DM office, Office of District Magistrate, for some official business. I met there one of my male counterpart, a principal of a reputed college. He told me that, Honorable DM didn't find time to meet me. You are a woman principal, so you may have a different experience. This is where lies the significance of celebrating Women's Day. This is where we still require deconstruction. That is, deconstruction of our perspective regarding gender. However, we listen to a wonderful narrative as given by Professor Moitro with reference to a large number of literary expressions. Dr. Madhumita Sen, in her attempts to unveil the areas of challenges for women in getting access to education and academia, has of course provoked us to promote more research for betterment. Dr. Al-Qadri excellently and explicitly focused on the status of women as permitted by Islam and took us to an unknown domain. Actually, if we explain India's anomalous democratic transition, we can find that we achieved country's political capital more than social capital. India's political system and process, rather than its social structure, has become the main agents of change. This concept subsumes a number of factors, such as elections, modern political institutions, their interaction with traditional society, and so on and so forth, but not in relation to women's access to education, their right to enjoy a dignified life. While the constitutional structure of India's democratic system has remained more or less constant over the last decades, with certain changes in some electoral areas and other dynamics of power, the dynamism of social empowerment has not yet gained its pace in promoting changes. And differential and horizontal social mobilization of socially marginal groups has resulted in policy changes that further demonstrate the deepening of democracy in India. But so far as women are concerned, their empowerment is still a bone of contention. Under the circumstance, therefore, we need to work harder and smarter to reduce gender disparity, as highlighted by all the three speakers, not only in academia, but also in entire social fabric, to reduce dropouts, to enhance the scope and opportunity of education, and thus There is no other option but to choose to challenge. With enormous thanks and gratitude to all the speakers and organizers, my colleagues, my friends, my beloved students, I'd like to end up here. We shall meet again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for so nicely summing up today's very interesting and thought-provoking session. Now, for a formal vote of thanks, I would like to request Dr. Madhumita Mondal from the Department of History. Madhumita, please, over to you.
Thank you, Pritha. Good evening, all. Now we are at the end of the third day of ICSSR sponsored 7 days symposium on gender sensitization. On this wonderful session, I took the golden opportunity to thank our honorable speaker, Dr. Al Quadri Madam, Principal of Government Girls General Degree College, Kolkata, and Madhumita Sen, Associate Professor of Sociology of Government Girls General Degree College, Kolkata, and Srimati Choitali Moitra, Faculty Member of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College. Thank you all for your wonderful presentation and sharing your thoughts and valuable time with us. I extend my gratitude to the organizing committee of today's symposium, to ICSSR for their support, and also to our dearest principal, Madam Dr. Shoma Ghosh, for her tireless effort. I would also like to thank IQAC coordinator Dr. Rupa Sen of our college, Barsha Dr. Lipika Mollik, and convener of the seminar subcommittee, Sri Pradipta Mukherjee. I sincerely thanks to our non-teaching staff for their support and help. Pooja and Atrey, thank you very much for your support. Both are the faculty member of our college and technical support throughout the year. I would like to thank to our dear colleagues and beloved students. Without you, it would not be a success. Thank you all once again. Good night.